All right, it's Monday book talk time. I'm actually only here for a little bit today just to do my book talks, and then I'm going to be off the rest of the day. I'm taking my child to the doctor. This week I read 4 books, a couple of which were not super pleasant. This first book that I read, 13 Ways of Looking at a Fat Girl, I saw some really positive things about it online, so I gave it a chance. And I will say I probably won't be getting it for our library. It is definitely for adults. And it's just generally, it's a book that makes you feel uncomfortable for the most of the time you're reading it. I feel it does that on purpose. It's kind of a commentary on the way we as women tend to put ourselves in unpleasant situations because of what we feel that society expects of us, things that we do to our appearance, both superficially and dieting and exercise-wise, that really are very uncomfortable. It talks a lot about unhealthy relationship choices that the characters are making. I've told people while I was reading it, during the whole experience, I kind of felt like I was experiencing something that I wasn't enjoying, but I was letting it happen anyway. And I feel like the author intended for that to be how you felt during the book. And so she did a good job at that. They have it at the public library. That's where I checked it out from. So if you're interested in reading about people making terrible choices and being very uncomfortable, then you might possibly enjoy it. Like I said, enjoy is not a word I would use to describe my experience reading it. I also finished the audiobook, The Jedi Doth Return, William Shakespeare's Star Wars. I would recommend that. I enjoyed all 3 of the Shakespeare Star Wars audiobooks that I listened to. They are full cast, so you've got different people voicing all the different characters. They did a great job casting this. There is some music, there is some sound effects. You get to hear R2-D2 actually speaking in English, so it's not just beeps and boops. You actually get to hear his thoughts as asides during the play. So great stuff. I read on my Kindle, but we have this in the library, The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind, and this is a true story about a boy who grew up in, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this correctly, but Malawi in Africa. And part of the book, you hear about his experiences during a famine, which was super devastating to his community. They had a bad year with their crops, and the government tried to help them out, but there was some corruption and some inefficiency, and a lot of people died. The main character survived. It talks a lot about the African school system, in which the primary school is free, but you have to pay to go to secondary school. He could not afford to go to secondary school, so he had to stay home, and he taught himself about physics and electronics by reading books from the local library, scavenging through the junkyard. He managed to build a windmill to generate electricity to provide light and pump water for his village, and went on to further education in the United States. So it is a great inspirational story about a person coming from adversity to do great things to help other people. So, like I said, some of it is a little unpleasant to read, but it is necessary to really understand where this person came from and what they went through to achieve their goals. The last book that I read this week was called Cartwheeling in Thunderstorms by Rundell. I've read another book by this author that I really enjoyed. This one is set in South Africa. The main character grows up on a farm. Her mother died of malaria when she was small. She didn't really remember a whole lot about her. She's been raised primarily by her father and by and alongside men on this farm. She's basically run wild. Her father calls her Wildcat, and she just hangs out with the horse boys, and she doesn't wash, and she doesn't cut her hair, and she just is full of energy and runs around all over the place. And then shortly after the beginning of the book, her father dies of malaria, and she is sent to England to go to a boarding school where everything is gray and all the people are mean. It's just horrible and awful. So you read about her experiences there and how she deals with those by running away from it. But she's a very ingenious little girl, very interesting character, very capable, of taking care of herself, even though she has a really hard time, obviously, fitting into society and expectations of what a proper young lady should be and how she should act. But it was, like I said, a lot of these books that I read were very different from my particular experience, and I do enjoy reading about people that are different from myself. Why would I want to read about exactly what I do every day? So check out some of these if any of these sound interesting, and I will see you on Thursday for our last tip video of the year.